Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody for being here, especially those who came with us from Chicago. I think a very business-like championship type approach to the week culminated with a very business-like win. I thought our guys were very focused all week. We knew we were playing a team that was playing for a lot, and I thought our defense was absolutely dominant today. 6 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and we missed some other opportunities we had out there to make. But I know PJ's building his program. I wish him nothing but the best of luck, and to he and his staff. But I'm really proud of our football team. I started the week getting asked questions about our guys not being focused to play, and it was insulting. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, it really pissed us off. And that's the way we approached it, and we're going to approach it again this week. This team, obviously, we got to get a lot better. We got 3 big games ahead of us, none bigger than next week. But this group has been very focused and on the improvement mentality, really since the bye week. So very proud of our guys, especially our seniors, winning their last Big Ten road game. That'll be something that they'll never forget, and just very thankful for them. So with that, how about some questions, please?
Coach, what do you think of your secondary today? You said your defense as a whole is really good, but I know you're missing some guys.
That's a good way to put it. I come out of training camp every year, and I kind of have the same routine. That when I address the squad, I know there's guys that are disappointed maybe not to be starters, but I challenge them that I'm not sure when we're going to need you, but it might be October. Calendar turns October, I do the same thing. Maybe guys are banged up, we're going to get you back. We never know who we're going to need in November. And now we're here 2 weeks in, and to see guys like Alonzo Mayo step up, a senior that maybe didn't have the role he wanted here the first 2 months. It's a young man like him that I'm so proud of, that has just stayed the course and been prepared. You can't control when the opportunity happens. You can only control whether or not you're prepared. And that's things that we've talked about now for over a decade, and obviously our guys buy into it, but the credit goes to our young man. Very proud of him for stepping up. Matt McPherson's doing a great job. He really is. I think we're getting better back there. I think we've obviously, I'll go back. I was visiting with Ted Albrecht, WGN, before I came in here, and I think back to when I was a freshman. If we had one injury at any position, it was going to be a long day for the Wildcats. And now to see everything that we've been through, it just talks about where we've come from and where we're at now as a program. But Mike Hankwitz doesn't get enough credit, I think, in the country. He definitely does in our league, but he's as good of a defensive coordinator and as good of an assistant coach as you could ever ask for. I've been so fortunate to have him and Mick with me now for a number of years, and Mick and he do just an unbelievable job from a leadership standpoint and playing to the strengths of our guys, but especially with the performance of our defense today, I wish Hank got a little bit more credit.
Fourth quarter, kind of pulled away a little bit. How big was it to get the big drive and then the turnover, that quick sequence that kind of put the game away?
Yeah, we felt like if we get up 3 scores in the second half, the game would be ours. So how about that kick by Collins? That was sweet. So, Gaziano was next. So it was kicking by numbers, I guess. I don't know.
Clayton over 10 yards per attempt, only 6 incompletions. What can you say of his performance today?
Yeah, the haters won't be hating, I guess, as much this week. 50th start, all-time winningest quarterback. The guy is the best. He's the best. And, I had one of my staff members pull off all the haterade that was printed out and been said about Clayton the last month. And I haven't showed it to him yet, but it's why he's a pro. That's why he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in this conference. He doesn't listen to the outside noise. He just works hard to get better, and it's unbelievable. I saw it a couple years ago with the Wisconsin quarterbacks and fan bases that they don't throw for 500 yards. The quarterback's terrible, and it is what it is. You can't control it. But this young man is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in this league. He's by far in the Mount Rushmore of our quarterbacks of all time. He's overcome so much. To see the way he's playing right now, I'm really proud of him. I'm not surprised, and I'm really proud of him.
What was the defensive game plan, and how well do you think they executed on that?
Never talk about scheme. I think our execution was outstanding. Outstanding.
Kind of nice to see Nate flying around there. He hasn't really had that many big games so far this year, but a couple disruptive plays today. What's it like to have him back out there?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I think he's been playing really well all year. Right? It hasn't, I'll go back to when I played, for myself personally, my junior year, I think I made like a gazillion tackles unblocked, right? And my senior year, then all of a sudden they blocked me, so it was a little bit different. Last year, Nate was able to make a lot of plays, and sometimes the ball just falls your way. This year, it's been a little bit different. Listen, I understand the targeting call by the rule. I just think I don't know how you play football. I mean, he tried to turn away. That's tough, but that is what it is. That's why we have to revisit that rule. And I've been outspoken about it. I'm a believer in the targeting rule. I'm a believer in taking headshots out of the game. Last time we came up here, we faced a different staff, and it was a different deal from them. And, Nate was not trying to target that. He was trying to make a tackle and turn away. So my hope is that we get to the flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, or I think in soccer, what do they have, like a yellow card and a red card? Does that sound right? I don't know. I never played. Is that right? Yeah? I mean, that would have been a yellow card, right? I mean, there was no intent. He was trying to make a tackle. And now, all of a sudden, because of antiquated rule, he's going to miss the first half of the next game, which is really disappointing for a senior, But that's the rule. I don't fault the officials for calling it. I don't fault them for upholding it. But that was that's a running back running the ball. I know it's a quarterback, but it's a guy running the ball. That's really tough. That's really tough.
You talk about getting it by 3 scores in the second half, but you needed that one at the end of the second quarter to get to that point. I mean, how big was that right if they go for score?
Well, we always talk about and what we value, how we respond is more important than anything. And I thought we responded boldly in that opportunity. First of all, it started with the kickoff return team. Kyrick McGowan had a great return, get ourselves a short field, and then get the drive going. Great big play by Bennett, and just huge going into halftime with momentum. I mean, we knew it was going to be a battle. I mean, they're fighting for ball eligibility. We knew we were going to get their best shot. And that's what jumps out to me so much about our defense. They got after a really, really good Purdue team a week ago. And for our defense to do what they did today, I think was a pretty strong statement.
We saw Flynn leave the game early. Do you have any updates on where he's at?
He's in the locker room.
I meant in terms of health.
He's great.
Travis getting the start, I believe, today, and having another great game, 15 tackles. How well has he filled in the past couple weeks?
He's a pretty good player. We've been just so frustrated for him and with him, battling through injuries here to start his career. We knew we were getting 2 great players out of Katie when we got Patty and Trav. I mean, we knew we were getting 2 really, really good players. And, it's great. He went from a guy that we had hoped would be, in the mix to compete at safety, but more importantly, very involved in a kicking game early in the year, and he still was battling through injuries. And now to get healthy at the right time, he's a really good football player. Bless you.
Clayton was completely untouched on that touchdown run he had. How did he get so open there?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they crashed from the outside, so it's just a base play in our offense. I thought he made a good read, and really good job by him. He's obviously getting stronger as the year's going along, so that's going to be important now here these next 3 games.
More broadly, he has now 7 rushing touchdowns of the season and something like negative 100 rushing yards. How significant is his ability to run the ball, especially in short yardage?
Stats are for losers.
You mentioned at the beginning that you had told your team about how people were sort of doubting that they would take this game seriously. What was the exact message?
I mean, it was insulting. We come up here as underdogs. Are you kidding me? That's a joke. I mean, to me, that was a joke. I mean, it quite frankly pissed me off. And so that's what I told the guys the other day. We're sitting there, and again, I don't ever pay attention to that stuff, but I have guys that look at stuff for me. That's what you do when you run a program. And one of my guys comes up to me and says, "Coach, you're not going to believe this, but we're underdogs." So when I addressed the guys on Thursday before we set the business trip, I made it very crystal clear that the level of respect for the guys in that locker room is not very high because of a couple of games earlier in the year when we beat ourselves. So we want to earn respect, and let's go do it. And, I thought they were really focused last week in practice. We're outside on Tuesday. You guys remember how it was in Evanston. It was awful. And the wind's coming out of the lake on Hutch. I mean, they played some song, I don't know, Cold in Minnesota. I don't know. It was hilarious. I was laughing my rear end off because the guys are just like, we won this game on Tuesday, I thought. Our guys were ready to go. And that will be my expectation, that we do the same type approach next week, except we're going to play a team that's very different offensively. So we're going to have our hands full. It's going to be a great challenge offensively. They've been incredibly explosive down in Champaign. Coach Smith is doing a really, really good job with their weapons. And, we're going to have to completely change our mindset with what we're doing defensively because of what they do offensively. And I'll get going on that right away here when we get on the plane.
Go back to defense briefly. Seemed like they were able to move the ball a decent amount, especially in the first half. Then you really clamped down about the 30-yard line or so. What allows that to happen?
Well, they do. Coach Soraka does a really good job with their offense. I think he's an outstanding offensive coordinator and great coach. I think this is the third time we've gone against him now, and his staff. And their RPO game puts a lot of pressure on you. From what they're doing formationally, schematically, physically, and they got some really explosive players on the outside. And they've got, that might be the biggest offensive line in the country. And they're basically running no pull power and just wedge block and everything. And they're trying to create soft spots. And I thought our guys fit some things really well. I thought the defensive staff had a really good game plan to try to minimize some of those hurts. And then, they threw a couple slants for completions. Key thing was to tackle them. And, they did not get any yards after the catch, it looked like to me today, on any of the RPOs. And against this type of offense, that's critically important. So then, off of that, here comes the double moves, right? And outside of the one in the third quarter, I thought we played the double moves really well. That's where they got Indiana. That's where they got Purdue last week. I thought it was a really good job by Hank and the staff, but most importantly by the guys executing.